Hi, this is Richard Saunders from Alpha Militaria TV. Thanks for tuning in once again, coming to you live from the Alpha Militaria TV studios, which happens to also be my garage. Now I'm going to film a short video today on the PARD NV008 Lrf digital day-night scope. There it is just there. Now this is an accompanying piece to a much more detailed written review which you can find on our website www.alphamilitaria.com, and if you get the chance I'd recommend reading that as well, because it will help make sense of what's to follow. So there's two versions of the PARD NV008P. There's a version that has the rangefinder, which is this little unit here, a little bit smaller than a matchbox, on the right hand side of the scope, which designates this as the NV008 Lrf Laser Rangefinder. And then the version that doesn't have the rangefinder is just the straightforward NV008P. Now I'm going to swap the gun around so that I can show you all the good stuff on the other side. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just sort of run through the different features and components on this scope. Unfortunately, I'm not clever enough to show you footage through the scope itself of the menu and what have you, but the menus are very, very intuitive. And we can talk to those a little bit. So starting at the back, you have this collar at the back here, which is very smooth, and you basically twist that to adjust the focus on the reticle inside the scope and the other information that's on the viewing screen. Up here, underneath this cap here, is the battery. Now the PARD NV008 takes a rechargeable 18650 lithium ion battery, and one is supplied with the scope. If you buy any spares, and I do recommend you buy a spare, because you never know when you're going to run flat, you need to make sure that you have the one that has this flat positive terminal. I think they're e-cigarette batteries. That goes in positive terminal first, and then you just screw that up there. Now, to switch the scope on, this here is the power button. It's on the left-hand side of the scope, and it's got like a blue ring around it. You need to press that and hold it down for 2 or 3 seconds until that red light comes on up there. I don't know if you can see that, but a red light comes on up there. And then powering it down again, again you have to hold the button down for a few seconds until the red light goes out. Now, you can, once the scope is on, you can with a short press put the scope into like a sleep mode, which turns off the display and saves your battery time a little bit, and then press it a quick press again, wakes it back up again. Now PARD says that that the battery is good for about 8 hours of use, and although I've never run out or gone flat on a hunting session, I do always carry a spare with me just in case. So moving forward to that, you've got a little Picatinny rail on here that you can use to mount, probably intended for an additional IR torch, and we'll come onto the IR feature in a second. Then at the front here, you have another focus ring here, and it's got like a little lug to help you get hold of it, and that will change the focus for of the target image. And I have to say that when I swap between day mode and night mode, I find that I have to adjust the focus at both ends. It only takes a few seconds. Right, this little chap up here is the, if I turn this around actually, this up here is the IR torch, the IR illuminator. Now it looks pretty puny, I have to say. It's very, very small, but you know what? I don't know how it does it, but it throws out a huge amount of energy, and certainly is good for close on 200 meters to spot rabbits. As I said, I have no idea how it does it because it's tiny. And back here is the battery, so the torch itself is only kind of that long, and it performs as well as most other big auxiliary torches that I've got. Now there's 3 levels to it. By pressing the IR button, you switch the IR torch on, and then short presses after that will take you through 3 different brightness levels. And then by pulling, you see that, pulling the front of the torch in and out, range of movement is about 1/4 of an inch, you can focus the beam. Now I will admit to using, when I use this at night, I do put on an auxiliary IR torch. Not because this one is too weak to use, it's absolutely not. It's just that the more you use the IR torch, the more you're going to drain the battery down. So I just pop another torch on there, just to give myself a little bit more run time with the scope itself. Now the buttons up here, as I say, this is the Laser Rangefinder version. So the first button here is the menu button. A long press of that accesses the main menu. Now this is a fairly early version of the scope as well, and it also has a red laser dot feature, which is accessed with a short press. And if you can see that, that brings on that red dot. Now there was some controversy fairly early on in the PARD's history that said that, or that claimed that laser dot was illegal. It wasn't covered by whatever regulations we have in the UK. And I don't think anyone really got to the bottom of it. But PARD scopes are now distributed by Sportsman Gun Centre in the UK. And just to get around that problem, on current shipping versions that Sportsman Gun Centre distribute, that laser dot function is disabled. Forward of that you have the IR button. Now because this is a day-night scope, you can use this in the day, and the image is really clear. It's a full colour image, super clear. Not as clear as a good quality glass scope, it's fair to say, but it's not much of a compromise. And then when you want to when you want to use this at night, you hold down this button for a few seconds, and that switches the scope into the night mode. And then after that, as I said, you can press the button, short press on the button, takes you through the different IR brightness levels. And then when you want to go back to day mode again, you just hold that button down. This button here, as I said, this is the Lrf Laser Rangefinder version, so this is the rangefinder. You press that, it gives you a constant readout in either meters or yards, with a tiny little a cross in a box reticle with the distance reading next to it. Very simple to use. And then the button at the front here is your magnification button. Now you either get 6.5 or 12 times magnification. It's either one or the other. There's no kind of gradual increase up to 12.5. It's 6.5 or it's 12. And I have to say, you know, I shoot rabbits with this kit. It's an FAC rifle, out to about 70 meters, 80 meters at night, no trouble at all. Now there are a couple of additional features on the scope, just to make you aware of. Now the PARD will record camera and video footage, and the rangefinder button with a long press starts the record function. Now I have found on occasion that if I've got the rangefinder switched on, and then I long press on the same button to turn the record mode on, it results in the scope freezing up, and you have to reboot it to start again. So what I tend to do is I tend to hit record first, and you see like a little red dot comes up in the top left hand corner of the screen, and a time counter to let you know that you're recording. So press that first, and then short press on the button to bring up the rangefinder, and then I don't get that freezing problem. Now if you do that, if you record with the rangefinder on, you will find that when you come to play back your recording, you'll discover that the date and timestamp has disappeared. So if that's important to you to have the date and timestamp on, you need to make sure that you switch the rangefinder function off when you record, and then you get the date and timestamp. And then the zoom button at the front here, that also, with a long press, will give you playback on footage that you've recorded. Well, that's a quick rundown of the PARD NV008 LRF. Really is a great scope. I use this an awful lot, day and night. As I said before though, if you get the chance, please take a look at our website, www.alphamilitaria.com, where you'll find a more detailed run through of the scope, including all the different menu functions, and importantly how to zero the scope as well. So thanks for watching.